ref thought she got the ball.
Good morning, good day. Probably not for many of you. Good evening, Spurs fans. Here we are with our second preseason friendly of the season, and it's up against Wycombe Wanderers, one of the better team names to say in and around the English pyramid. And we have a pretty decent lineup in front of us here. Thomas Frank, of course, was saying that he was going to put out, some strong lineups. I have Nick alongside me, so used to saying the name Dave, but he is going to be my Dave for today. Nicholas, how are you, sir? And I was about to say, you and I, before we even began this, I think a few days ago, we're actually pretty happy with the fact that this is even happening in the first place. But good to have you back with us. And we get 2 for the price of 1 today in terms of watch-alongs.
Yeah, good morning, Jack. Yeah, it's a little early. It's a little early over here. Sun just came out, for a second there. I was back in time, man. I was hoping Kane just scored. But I think it's fantastic, man. I'm really... It bodes well for Frank's approach, man, because clearly he's got too many dudes. And he's got to figure out what to do with all these dudes, and he's got to take a look at all these dudes. So he's not sitting around waiting for other people to make decisions. He's making the decision. I need more matches before we go on this tour, so I'm taking the initiative. So I love to see it, man. I love to see it.
Yeah, and in fact, this is what Thomas Frank had to say. And I actually was doubting whether this was going to be true or not, whether he actually was going to put out a strong lineup for this fixture, because it's behind closed doors. There are no fans watching or anything like that, except for us, of course, on the Spurs play. But this is what Thomas Frank actually had to say about what type of team and the importance, I guess, of doing 2 prices or 2 matches for the price of 1, should I say. We wanted an extra game in our schedule to give as many players as many match minutes as possible in order to put them in the best position physically. We will play 2 even strong teams, and they will play 75 minutes, maybe more. By the end of Saturday, 22 players will have played a lot of match minutes, and they will be in a very good place before we go on tour. I just found it interesting that he said he was going to put out 2 very strong lineups. I was like, really? I think he would be putting out a stronger lineup for Luton Town, but he seems to be mixing it up here, and that kind of reflects it. Nick, we have Brandon Austin in goals, Pedro Porro right back, Romero, Vuskovic as the combination this time at center back. Ben Davis is in the team as well at fullback. Let us remind you, too, this is our second opportunity to watch the greatest center back in the world. And I'm not talking about Christian Romero. I am talking about Luka Vuskovic. We have Rodrigo Bentancur, Bergvall, and Sarr as your midfield, with Odegaard, Richarlison, and Sonny as the front 3. So I'd say a pretty strong lineup for a friendly.
Yeah, and it's interesting that he did not split the captaincy on this one. One would have thought that would have been a given. But, Sonny's out there as captain. Romero is marshaling the back line again. And then what's the thing with the bench, though, what I'm looking at? It's pretty much all under 21s, right? It's all academy players. As far
let
as
me actually
bench.
Let me zoom in on that and give myself a good eye test here. We have Blodorn. I'm not too sure about his game. I would assume maybe a goalkeeper. Tyrell Ashcroft, though, I know is a defender. Casanova, Dante Casanova, that is one of the best names in football, as I always like to say. Argenis McDermott, now that's a great name. And then Yusuf Akramech, one of my actual favorite names to say as well from the academy. I know he's more of a forward. Tyrese Hall, absolutely love that kid in the midfield. Nice to see his name again. Luca Williams-Barnett, we know plenty about. This guy's actually supposed to be very, very talented, if not one of the most talented players in the academy at this moment in time. Oliver Iro as well, very talented player that's, I think, had to deal with some injuries in the past couple of seasons, which I think has delayed his development. Then we have Lehane. I'm not too familiar with his game. Thompson as well. I'm not too familiar with him. But then the one and only Callum Olasesi. No Mikey Moore, though, today, which actually could be brought up, but I'm not sure what that means. Maybe he's being reserved for the Luton Town game, or the rumors could be true that he might be headed out on loan. But Nick, thank you so much for pointing that out, actually, the bench, because it is interesting that it is entirely under 21s. There's no, mixing about it all.
Yeah, hey, remind me again what the time difference is between the matches. Is there like a break? How is Frank and his whole staff just going to get an Uber?
How long does it take to get to Luton? We are already in North London, so it shouldn't take that far. But if you were maybe playing at Crystal Palaces at Selhurst Park, it probably would take maybe a little bit longer to get over to Luton for this game, to Kenilworth Road. But Yeah, the next game is at it's at 3 p.m. I believe UK time.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So there's like an hour in between, something like that.
I think I mean, they have what? So this should end around, geez, like you would think around 1 p.m. And then, yeah, not too much time to dust yourselves down, pack your bags, and then get over there. They're going to have to get a move on. Maybe that's also part of his fitness training at the moment. Thomas Frank
All
is
right, everybody's running to the next
everybody's
one.
running
All
to
right?
Luton Town. There's no shaking of the hands or anything after this.
Screw that. We gotta go.
We have another game to play, folks. Good to see so many of you guys. Really do appreciate you joining us. Thanks for being here with us. Hopefully, if you have the game on, welcome to sync up with us at any point as well. But thanks for being here with us, and I'm looking forward to seeing Spurs for the second time this season. I mean, we're getting back into it here, everybody. We're dusting off the cobwebs of the watch-alongs. We're dusting off the cobwebs of just watching our beautiful, mighty Tottenham Hotspur. And of course, it's our second opportunity to see what Thomas Frank's system will be all about. But a funny thing about Thomas Frank is, just quickly before, again, I was going to do what I was supposed to do, which is already greet all of you lovely people. But I do find funny, that we all pretended to be experts on Ange Postecoglou after like one game, when he first had his first preseason games. I think that's going to be even harder with Thomas Frank, because this guy's so tactically flexible for us to even make, grandiose conclusions, which we always do. And I especially will, because that's what we just have to do sometimes. But it will be interesting, what sort of, again, formation or, type of way of playing we'll see, in this game, because he's a guy who has maybe a bunch of tricks up his sleeve, whereas Ange Postecoglou, to some extent, we kind of knew, liked to do things sort of the same way. He liked maybe his coffee the same way, just since we're watching this early in the morning, liked his coffee the same way every time, whereas Thomas Frank is one day an espresso, the next day an Americano, and likes to do things differently. But good to see.
As we learned in that last match, man, he does love that tactics board. And Davo's just going to have to get used to it, man. And I think that's going to be my Christmas present to Dave this year, is his own little tactics board, so he can really get involved.
Yeah, I think Dave was just he was going through culture shock, seeing the tactics board there from Thomas Frank. Good to see you, Slim Boy Tubbs. Early birthday present today for you, sir. Hopefully we get you 2 more wins on the birthday. That's all we can provide at the minute, but hopefully you're enjoying your weekend. Ribsy85, the lads. Good to see you, Ribsy. How are you, Ribeye? We have Tartan Spurs, Jack, Nick. Good to see you both. Interesting lineup. Let the preparation continue. Send our best wishes to Dave as well. Dave should be back, I think, by the end of the weekend, or maybe around Monday or Tuesday, hopefully. But I think his dad has received, some better news as the week has gone on, and is hanging in there. But he's being a good son by being alongside him, because the guy I know doesn't really like being around the doctors and stuff like that. So Dave is being his interpreter as well as his confidant at the minute in time. Good to see you, Tartan. Hopefully everything's all right with you up in Scotland. Brooklyn Evans, good to see you, my friend. Chance and Coob. We also have Shemi, Tan, Morning, Nick, Jack, and Nick, and hopefully Dave, his family are doing better. Like I said, I think he's gotten some better news of recent times, but they're still hanging in there at the minute. Fazzy Radfire, big up my favorite channel. Hope you and Dave are doing all right. We have Tyler saying, I don't know how I'm awake, but let's get this. Come on, you Spurs.
Good for you, buddy.
You somehow found a way. And I was joking to Nick. He's actually avoiding a beautiful Brooklyn sunrise, and instead is camped in here watching Spurs play, which, instead of watching a beautiful sunrise, how about we watch Tottenham Hotspur for the 50,000th time? There's no better addiction than this football club, Tyler. You can argue that you can never have too many dudes, says Ribeye. That's always true. Dark Sun G saying, I saw a tweet that Bentancur is replaced with Abbott. Hopefully it's not to do with an injury or anything like that, Dark Sun G. You really hope not, because that guy's had some pretty bad luck with that sort of stuff, the likes of Rodrigo Bentancur. But George Abbott, we know, very, very talented. And you'd imagine will probably be sent out on loan again, Dark Sun G. But I know he's very highly rated in the academy. He kind of has that build about him that he doesn't really necessarily look like an academy player. Kind of looks like already a Premier League, or what do you ever call English football pyramid, type player, where he's built. I think he's probably one of the best performers in the fitness tests. So what I've heard, that Thomas Frank has been doing. So, it'd be nice to get a glimpse of him, but I also hope that everything's all right with Bentancur. We also have Spurs GCTV. Good to see you, my friend.
Hey, real quick, man, just a shout to Dark Sun G, man. That new intro is dedicated to you, my friend. I know you've been waiting a long time for that. You've been waiting as long as we waiting for a trophy. That's dedicated to you. And as far as Bentancur, I'm pretty sure he just woke up late. You know, he just said, you know what? I'll do the Luton match. Let the kid go out there.
Now, thanks to everybody. If you haven't noticed the changes to the intros, that is, of course, thanks to our mastermind, our director, our Nicholas Spielberg behind the scenes for putting that together. Dave and I do not have the technical ability to do anything like that. So we need to have our midfield maestro and Nick to be able to put those together. So please, everybody, do thank him. I actually have my finger on the trigger here because it looks like we're getting started on time here.
Wow.
Surprisingly, that usually doesn't happen with these friendlies, or let alone with the Spurs play. And we have gotten kicked off here. I'm just going to welcome some more people in, but yes, we're about to get things underway. So do sync up with us. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Donovan Osterreicher, good to see you. Making a nice breakfast spread for my family who are visiting. Big prayers for Davo. Nice, my man. Tell us if there's a Canadian. What is a Canadian breakfast? Let me know. Stevie Frazier saying 50 minutes by road from Taunton to Luton, if that. Well, I still think they got to get a move on after this game, Stevie Frazier. And then Spurs Graham, member for 11 months, 2 games, 1 day. Sweet. Yeah, dude. It's 2 for the price of 1. And I think we're all missing the football, you know.
Ben Davies with the Techers. What?
Yeah, seriously. But thank you, Graham. Thank you for the support, my friend. Reaching a year as well. Really do appreciate you. Some people are reaching absolutely ridiculous milestones. So thank you, my friend. It's also a bit of a Bournemouth angle, the camera here for the.
Got you low to the ground to give you the, like the like you're actually in the stands, something like that. Yeah, Ben Davies is already trying to take the piss out here, man. It's like I think I saw 2 rollovers and like some kind of a pirouette from him already.
Maybe suggesting he doesn't want to go to Wrexham.
Something like that.
Oh, Sonny maybe repeating his skyward efforts from the last friendly, because that was some lovely, lovely buildup from Spurs and some saucy stuff from the likes of Odebear. Sonny with a nice ball down the line for Odebear, and then Odebear was able to lay one off for him. Yeah. And then Sonny went first time. Don't blame him for going first time. Right decision. Under. Just
yeah, he got under it. Richie seems to be putting himself about pretty good right there. He's trying to get in on the press. Interesting to see how long he lasts.
But yeah, the first team that Thomas Frank has gone for is very strong, but then you would know that he's got a lot of youngsters there that he's going to try to probably give a healthy amount of minutes to, because it usually is in the preseason the only time that a lot of these guys do get to really play with the first team or play in front of as many crazy Spurs fans' eyes like ourselves. But we do have Vuskovic on the ball here. Best center back in the world. Broke the Spurs internet last game. Plays Pedro Porro. Lovely bit of play from Porro there. Finds Bergvall, who's getting us up the pitch. Who gets it out wide to the Odebear. It really is a Bournemouth game because we have a pole even in the way of the right wing in terms of viewing. Bergvall.
Yes. Sorry, Tyler, man. You got this is called obstructed viewing. This camera angle.
You would think Daniel Levy and all of his micromanaging of things would have accounted for that, but just slipped him by.
This is at Hotspur Way, right?
Yeah. It's at the training ground.
Yeah.
This is where the under-21s would play. This is, I believe, the same pitch. Spurs playing some nice stuff, I would say, actually, in possession. They haven't really done anything too sloppy. Pedro Porro tries to clip it down the line to Odebear. And Wycombe I'm not kidding and not exaggerating, have barely touched the ball thus far. So some pretty tidy stuff from us. Bergvall. Little poke outside the boot to Pedro Porro, and commentators jinx. Just as I said, everything looked a little tidy and everything was looking pretty smooth. Bergvall, not on the same wavelength as Pedro Porro. Hits it out of play. Battle of the tracksuits between Wycombe Wanderers and Thomas Frank today.
Haven't Wycombe lost their last 5, have they? Do we know the manager of Wycombe?
Jeez. Probably my earlier days with the channel when I really was an absolute fiend of knowledge.
Commentator said Bentancur's out because of illness. Not good.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, illness is not injury, so
That's fair.
but hopefully he gets on that plane next week. So you got to figure who's going to be at Luton. Vicario, Kinski, Spence, Danzo.
Wycombe, just a minute here. Wycombe played some nice stuff into their midfielder. They maybe had an opportunity to play him behind us, but they hadn't. Skips past Christian Romero, their
Giving too
winger,
much space. Richie doing work.
and a similar effort from the Wycombe player. Just as Spurs kind of recovered, skies it into the back. No stands, of course, as I was about to say. No stands. Skies it into the back of a fence. Something to note, though, by the way, if Spurs do manage another clean sheet, that would be something we had never done during the preseason friendlies under Ange Postecoglou, which is what made it kind of funny. Because I remember we had conceded 4 goals to the K-League All-Star team, and then even still conceded to the Singapore team, the Singapore Sailors, or Lion City Sailors, whatever the hell they were called. And you would imagine Wycombe and Reading might be of a slightly higher quality. I only say slightly because I can't really say this confidently than maybe those, at least definitely more than the Lion City team. But they play it down the line, down Pedro Porro's side. Pedro looking to recover. Nice little shove in the back from Pedro. And a rogue cross out of play for Brandon Austin to recover. Wycombe now getting into the game a bit more. They've had two little breaks.
There's not enough atmosphere for Spurs GCTV out there. the one grandmother in the back going, "Come on,
crowd is a bit quiet. I just saw
enough.
that comment. That is very funny.
You're gonna have to create your own.
Where's the trumpet man when you need him, Spurs?
Right.
Brandon Austin doing his best Kinski impression, plays it down to Richarlison. Richarlison does well.
Good pass to Pape.
And honestly, very well accurately played by Brandon Austin.
Yeah.
Right to Richarlison. Fair play. Luka Vuskovic plays it in between the lines to Richarlison, who gets nothing from the referee.
Zip.
Good turnover from Pape Matasar and Bergval. Richarlison on the ball. Can he pick out a pass? He does. Out wide to Odebear. Finds Richie.
There you go. Oh, did that scuff off of defender?
Apparently not, by the reactions of the players. I think really well done by Bergval and Pop to turn it over. It's just maybe Richarlison took too long on the decision there, and then eventually gave it to Odebear, but I just felt like maybe there was an opportunity to play someone else. Richarlison and Pedro Porro, by the way, both bleached for this game. Bleached white hair.
One would think maybe the directive is to try to feed the striker as much as possible.
Yeah.
Just practice creating chances.
It was nice. I mean, again, actually, I had to wipe my eyes, when I saw Brandon Austin going for a big, long kick up to the striker. How not something we saw very often, of course, with the previous regime, just route one. Get it launched, as I usually like to say.
And Merovingian, I think this one is only on Spurs Play, man. I think the next one will be on Paramount or CBS.
Yeah.
But this one is only on Spurs Play.
There are more options for the next game. Iceman, good to see you. Thank you to everybody that's with us this day or this morning, this evening, whichever time it is for you lovely Spurs people. But really do appreciate you guys. Thanks for being here with us. Again, smash the like button. And, of course, anything that, if you're not able to watch the game, anything that you want us to point out or anything that you're curious about, feel free to let us know. Luka Vuskovic. Playing it to Romero here. He's taking his time here. Absolute.
Romero playing left side.
I did not think about that. Very good point. Sonny. Bergval, lovely turn there. Finds Sonny out wide. Oh, skinning past this Wycombe man there. Oh, sir! Naughty from the Wycombe player. Can't be taken down our man, especially before the Korea preseason tour. He's got to be in the best of shape. Taken out maybe a bit cynically there. Sonny was putting him through the washing machine.
Oh,
Just stepped across him.
Yeah, that's a dead clothesline.
Before we take this free kick, Nick, do you think people were maybe reading too much into Sonny's kind of underwhelming
his demeanor and his face, the look on his face in the last match? There's always talk like he's carrying an injury. I mean, Dave goes on about they're always carrying injuries, which is true. He looked to me like he wasn't feeling that great.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm trying not to read too much into preseason right now.
Oof.
Oh,
Pedro Porro went around the wall or underneath the wall. Like I said, maybe the camera angle isn't the best at Hotspur way, but Stevie Frazier saying Pedro Porro has been confusing me. I keep thinking that's Richie there, and he's saying Richie with a good first touch.
Yeah.
Maybe what Richarlison's intention was to have us confuse them so that maybe he has a better chance of staying.
Big up yourself, Mick Hermeluk, man. Hope you're healing well, man. That's a ball ache right there. No EAFC for you for 4 weeks, huh?
No. But on the bright side, if you want to look at it on the bright side, an opportunity to really develop some skills with the other hand, especially if it's a weak one. At some point, I had to learn how to dribble with my left hand in basketball, and this would be your opportunity. Ben Davis plays it back to the goalkeeper. Get a nice close-up on Vuskovic here. Vuskovic, maybe is how I should be saying it. But Odebear,
that's a lovely ball.
Lovely ball, that's right, from Pedro Porro.
Come on, Rich. Oh. Decent opportunity, but blocked right off the shot by the defender. Ben Davies got it, recycling it back to Berg. Progressing forward, which is, man, I'd really love to see that.
That was it was caught by Nick there, but that was a really nice ball by Pedro Porro around the Wycombe defender on the right side here. Odebear is on the right, down the same side as Pedro Porro, and he played a really good ball in behind for Odebear, who I actually think has done well to find the right person in the box. He found Sonny earlier. He's found Richarlison 2 times. Now it's out wide to Pedro. Cross gets deflected and straight to the goalkeeper there. But Odebear, as much as, we paid a decent amount of money for him, he's someone that, has some competition as well this season. He's got Mohamed Kudus. He's got Brenner Johnson. Of course, Matisse Tell is on the left side, but, maybe Odebear can play there as well. It's just, someone to consider, is maybe, everyone to a degree is on an equal plane, but he has some competition this season, that's for sure. Whereas last season, it was just kind of him or Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, well, my ideal scenario, which is, pretty easy to figure out, but, you got an up-and-comer and you got a more senior player for every position. I know that's unrealistic, but, it's critical on the wings, especially in the Premier League. If because of injuries, whatever, or just, the ability to go a full 90 minutes if needs be. So if Odebear and Tell are options with that, as long as we got, more senior, seasoned players to take that position. Oh, there you go.
Pop Matasar is onside, then it's 1 goal to the good. Sorry, Nick. Odebear just decided to ooze some sauce there, and he did really, really well to take it past his man, and then he fired a shot at the keeper. I mean, I'm not sure if we'll get too many replays on this. I'm not too sure if the keeper made the best of saves, but Odebear tested him enough, and he parried it just a little bit too close to his own goal, and Pop Matasar is feeding on the scraps. Yeah, maybe not the best of saves there by the keeps. No, really good play from Odebear. And then the Pape scores.
You got to be in the right place to score, man.
And technically, we've only had 2 goal scorers in the preseason thus far. Vuskovic has all of them, and now Sarr with the third. And again, I think Odegaard so far has actually looked quite good. Probably been one of the brighter players. He's had some opportunities to create some stuff, created 2 things for Richie and created 1 for Sonny, and now actually was playing a big part in creating that goal, which Sarr was able to put away. So Spurs, 1 goal to the good at Hotspur way. A little dicey there from Ben Davis as Wycombe tried to play it in behind. It is funny actually seeing all the Spurs coaches. The bench isn't big enough for the whole players, so you're just seeing a million coaches just standing there. We should get them some lawn chairs.
Ball's going out of bounds into the woods.
Odegaard does look I think he's probably... Ooh, just an opportunity here. Spurs actually have looked pretty comfortable this game. Sonny gets dispossessed. Tried to take it past his man, but had it taken away from him in the box there. Good job from Wycombe playing out there.
Yeah, I'd really like to, considering our opponent right now, I'd really like to see Richie score.
That's a fair point.
First 10 minutes, he looked at it, and he's kind of dropped out in these last 5.
Stevie Frazier, 12 minutes without a Vuskovic goal or assist. Should we start worrying? Was it just a flash in the pan? Hey, Rain Man, hopefully you're doing okay. I would say, Fat Tony, that Pedro Porro, Odegaard, that right-hand side has probably been the best so far. It's been the source of creativity. And they've just played some nice stuff, to be honest. Whereas, as much as they love each other, Ben Davis and Sonny, maybe that's been kind of the weaker of influence so far, the left side. Midfield has been all right. I think Sarr, Bergvall looked pretty tidy.
Yeah. I'd like to. Bergvall definitely more pep in his step and more concentration than a Reading match.
Yeah, that's right. Vuskovic has to center it to Romero, but he's definitely putting him under pressure. Spurs do really well to play out. Really well to play out there.
Very good. Was that Abbott with the take?
Yeah. And a big switch of play as well.
Yeah, nice.
Find Sonny on the left. Ben Davis centers it to Bergvall. Pedro Porro coming in field. Romulus. Oh, nice ball into Pedro. Out wide to Odegaard. Odo Sauce. Ooh, step over. See you later.
Ooh.
Pedro. Ooh, getting audacious here. Spurs play with the camera angles. Don't stress yourself out.
Cameraman's getting a little confused.
He's getting a little confident, the cameraman here. George Abbott. Again, I'm probably going to jinx this here, but I would say, there have been times when Spurs probably have had maybe an opportunity to lose the ball or... no, there you go. I did jinx it there because I said for the most part, even though Pedro Porro just played it out for a goal kick, there haven't really been too many sloppy giveaways, this game, actually. When Spurs have been put under some pressure by Wycombe, I think we've done all right, actually, to still link together some passes and break through them. So really, I would say for the most part, a lot to be happy with.
Yeah, so far, I mean, the opposition isn't the tightest pressing bunch of people that we've seen so far. So
no,
but we're implementing our plan, and it seems to be working. Ministry of Football, it was Papa Sarr who was the goal scorer with a little coming up late after a bobble by the goalkeeper.
If anything, you could say, Nick, like sometimes when you watch these preseason games, which, happens plenty of times. It will be like, let's say, Newcastle versus a, Stevenage or something like that. And then you just don't really actually see that much of a difference between the qualities of the team for whatever reason, because it's preseason. But I think this game you can actually already tell, Spurs are just of a different class than Wycombe, which I think is also, working off of scraps here in the first 20 minutes. But I do think that's also a slight positive, is that we do just look a lot better than Wycombe. Whereas I've seen plenty of score lines, of preseason friendlies where you're seeing, 1-0 between a Newcastle and a Stevenage.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking like I'm frozen here, Jacko. I think I'm going to refresh real quick.
Okay, no problem. That's why I said everybody's, working off of scraps here, but I think Spurs have actually looked all right. Not really anything at all to be concerned about, or anything to really, in any way, if even the most cynical of Spurs fans, if you were looking for something to complain about, I'm not really sure what you would find. All right, looking good.
Hey,
ball over the top to Pedro.
Is he onside?
Brings it down.
Oh.
Good touch.
Yeah.
Good defending. Good emergency defending by the Wycombe player.
Parker, don't you be throwing shade on the original GOAT, the Juju Master, the Voodoo Man. When I first got into Spurs, our number 9, even though he wore number 10, was the legend that is Emmanuel Adebayor. So he holds a very close place in my heart, man. And that was a very silly time for Tottenham Hotspur, man. And that guy, I thought he was hilarious. So I picked it up when I had the opportunity.
Some of the best hair of any Spurs striker, but also best celebrations. Pedro Porro clips it in. Richarlison! Flying like the pigeon he was, but he didn't find the connection. We saw a bleached white head going across the box there, but he just couldn't make contact. Really good, solid play there. That was George Abbott, I believe. Really nice play. Switching it out wide to Pedro. Taking on his man here. Overlapping run from the Odo sauce. Good unselfish overlapping run there from Odebear just to get Pedro Porro that option. But yeah, Richarlison looks like he rose well for it. I think he just couldn't make contact with it for whatever reason. It wasn't a bad cross.
Bit of a false start there on the corner. Pedro in with the delivery.
Pop out to Sarr was
Decent
flying
enough
for that one, and landed to Viskovic. He just did well to actually get out of his feet, but you were almost thinking he was trying to go for a first-time shot there. Some dangerous crosses in from Pedro Porro. One for Richarlison earlier, and now this one from the corner. Again, like Wycombe have barely touched the ball this game. They've had maybe 1 or 2 breakaways, but they haven't even had really any opportunities to even get any sense of possession. Pedro whipping it in straight to the goalkeeper.
So are we playing really with the 6 right now? And who is it? Because
our George Abbott, I would assume, would be our number 6. But yeah, he's not really had a lot of influence in the game.
No, but I guess he has been delivering from deep. And Sarr and Bergvall are kind of playing like 8s, attacking 8s.
Yeah, they've looked good. I think Bergvall and Sarr, like you said, Bergvall doesn't look nearly as sloppy as he did in the first game. But he's a good example of someone that, I don't know. There are some people who don't need a ton of preseason games. He's coming back from injury. He's someone who could probably use as many preseason minutes as possible to get back into the flow of things.
Yeah, Tyler, see, that's what I was thinking, because he is dropping deep all the time. When we're out of possession, he's been back with the center backs. So I was like, is he play? But he's definitely given license to go forward, as soon, especially with the 1-2s.
And Tyler brought up earlier, maybe one of the opportunities that George Abbott did have on the ball. He had a breakaway where he had a lot of time and he decided to go for a switch of play, but it actually if you want to be a little bit harsh on him, which I think Tyler is right. George Abbott kind of did kill maybe a counterattack or kind of the momentum of an attack by going for this big switch of play at one point where he had a lot of time on the ball to make something happen. But in a game like this, you would say, like, as a team,
it's
six, you do get a lot of opportunities on the ball to make things happen because, Spurs have had a lot of possession.
Yeah, true. Lubrical, just to clear up the confusion, because I would certainly be confused if Dark Sunji didn't come in with the info. Apparently, Bentancur has an illness, so he was taken off the team sheet and replaced by George Abbott. Wycombe with a bit of possession here. We're giving them a lot of space in the back. Our press has died off a bit, but, it's not to be understood. They're knocking it about. Odebear's starting to get in there. What I want to see in preseason, especially from the younger people, are a hell of a lot more consistent pressing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know Frank doesn't really play a 90-minute press like Ange wants to do. So
bad giveaway from Wycombe here. Just a moment. Can we make something of it? Sonny, step over. Doesn't maybe do the best with that there. Oh, wow. Oh, that was sorry to cut across you, Nick, though, but that was a bad giveaway by Wycombe, and it looked like we could have maybe scored from that, but hopefully Bentancur doesn't have the transfer flu. Says Fat Tony. I don't think he's going anywhere.
A lot of that going around, though, these days, Fat Tony.
Always seems to come out in the summer.
Yeah, definitely Stevie Frazier. Wilson is a bright spark in this one, without a doubt. As most of our effective creative stuff has been coming through him and Bergvall.
Ooh, Richarlison.
Oh, there you go, Rich. But couldn't get the through ball.
Tried to feed our man Udo Sauce through, just couldn't find him. Would you agree with Tyler's assessment that Sarr is playing more like a 10 and Bergvall is maybe playing a bit deeper alongside Abbott?
I did that is a very creative take on that, Tyler. But I think you may have something like that's what was confusing me, because it doesn't look like we're playing a designated 6, but it's some kind of goofy midfield like that. And Sarr in a 10 is interesting, man. I don't think anybody would naturally put him in that.
And just quickly on Sarr too, I made this point that with Ange, it felt like, he needed as many technically gifted players as possible, whereas I think Sarr is technically good, but it's more of just like an industrial player as well, a guy who really has just an absolute ridiculous engine on him.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think he is very much a Thomas Frank player in that regard, that, he's good enough on the ball, but he knows how to get about, knows how to make runs, can score goals as well. Like, I think he's kind of made for Thomas Frank. I think he'll thrive under him. I don't want to go too early on that.
Yeah, but I hope so too, man. And I love me some Pepe. Yeah, and he as we know, he can pass and cross without a doubt. He's got a long distance dime in him.
I think, I've loved Pop Matasar since he broke through under Conte, and I think that was one of Conte's bigger mistakes, was not giving Pop Matasar maybe more of those opportunities, because I do think in a more defensive-minded team, Vuskovic, maybe a little too much time there, but in a more defensive-minded team, I think Sarr is an absolute monster to have. Even right here, he's showing off the fitness. No commentators curse with this guy. Bergvall pressing. Spurs doing a really good job here, and they get a good turnover. Heavy touch there from George Abbott, and it's no friendly at all. He goes sliding into the Wycombe player from the heavy touch. You love to see it.
Limpy. It's Lang is texting Morgan's Gib White. What is he texting him?
He's doing his best Paratici impersonation.
Listen, just tell him you're going to the bathroom, and then get a cab to the Lisbon airport. I'll pay for it. Don't worry about it. Nobody will notice you're gone.
If anything, maybe they had to tell him, listen, the camera is about to pan to you. Look busy. Been more funny if he was picking his nose. Matisse Tell looking cool on the touchline. It's actually very funny to see these coaches and players and stuff on the touchline just hanging out. Someone get them a soda. Where's the vendor? Where's the beer man? Levy's missing a trick. Could get an ice cream truck in. Sarr leading the press here. Nowhere to go for the Wycombe players. They're going to have to go long here. The goalkeeper is well out of his box.
Oh, jeez.
Sends it into the stands. Might even be hitting Levy's office with that kick.
Yeah, Pape box to box. That's where I would naturally put him. But you know what? It's really interesting that Frank is messing around with the possibility of having Sarr and Bergvall on the pitch together doing the same kind of job, as attacking eights or, twin box to boxes that have license to go forward. But especially since all of our recognized number 10s are unavailable, he's got to be trying out some different shit. So.
Vuskovic gives it out wide to Davis. Richie drops deep and out wide to the left. Pedro Porro with a big clip into Odebear. Good touch. Oh, he rushed that.
Oh, yeah. He rushed it. He should have waited a little second till he got a little bit more control. A fantastic idea.
Great ball from Pedro Porro. And again, not the worst of touches from Odebear. He had more time than he realized, and he had an option there. Oh, pop. Nearly getting. Oh, Odebear. Oh, referee bails him out. But yeah, Odebear, there was a big ball in behind from Pedro Porro. Through the center, really, Odebear was playing in the striker role there. Yeah. And then he actually had Richarlison to his left, and if he found Richie, it should have been a goal. Wycombe actually have an opportunity to break on us here. Let's see some defensive action from Spurs. They drop into a really good shade. Oh, no!
Oh,
Brandon Austin with an absolute
Brandon Austin,
howler.
All right. Off you go. Off you go. Back on the bus, Brandon.
Oh, no.
What was that?
Austin. Maybe Wycombe's... I'm not even sure the last time Wycombe even entered our half. I think it had been a whole 20 minutes since Wycombe had even gotten into our half. And they were able to manage to get some space for the forward. He cut inside to the top of the box, fired a decent shot. But, I mean, decent's being generous there because it went straight at Brandon Austin, bounced in front of him, and it had a bit of a Wickets moment where he touched it, hit his
I think
chest,
there was a
and went through his
glitch in the
legs.
matrix there. I think the ball disappeared right after it touched his hand, and then all of a sudden it was in the back of the net.
I think, if anything, that's the definition of the ball literally going through the goalkeeper. But, and maybe he needs gloves, or if anything, I think he needs more of a hockey goalie outfit there to block that one, I guess, Brandon Austin, because that literally went through him. It makes it a bit more interesting here because it's been all Spurs, and Spurs have probably had maybe a couple of opportunities to go 2 or maybe 3 ahead. But Brandon Austin doing his best to keep the people entertained.
Right, he's just making it interesting.
He's a proper Spur. Touch there from Abbott.
Very nice.
Austin angling for a move. He's jealous of Kinski. Maybe he wants Kinski goes to Luton Town and Brandon Austin's angling for a move to Leyton Orient. Ball over the top from Vuskovic. It's a good one. Oh, did well there, the Wycombe defender. FIFA glitch from Brandon Austin, seriously.
Yeah, that was scripting is what it was, to keep it even.
It's only a friendly, but Brendan Austin's kind of you know, he was almost coming into this game with good stock, you know, and good reputation, really. You know, he had some good games in the Premier League or whichever opportunities he was given last season. But that wasn't too great. I actually remember, to be fair, I do remember, you know, during other preseason games, he had kind of some similar mistakes like that.
He's not. Yeah, he's
Maybe
never
he
been that
saves them for the
aggressive.
preseason and not for the regular competitive games.
Right. He had some Europa League starts, didn't he?
I'm trying to remember which games he played in
Yeah, I
last
think
season.
it was, and he wasn't that bad. Yeah,
Well, he made some fine saves. It was
when
just
both Forster and Vicario were injured.
yeah, actually, that's what he was doing. He was doing his best Fraser Forster impersonation there, Brandon Austin, doing his best to, like he did with Man United. Fraser Forster, Brandon Austin's doing his best to keep them in the game. Good ball from Romero to Odebear. Again, maybe Odebear didn't really take that in the best way possible. What a challenge from Romero, but Wycombe able to play out. No one forward for them, though, so they have to play backwards. Wycombe player with a lot of time on the ball. Out wide, down Pedro Porro's side, on the right here. Wycombe, like I said, maybe now have played well enough to get into our half. It had, like, until they scored, I'm not even sure the last time they'd even entered our half. So that's really just as well what made that funny for them to score from that, because it really had been a while since they had even been able to play out in any sort of regard. They play it back to the goalkeeper. Good pressing from the Odo.
Nice. Vuskovic got to get back there. Little too dangerous. We've gotten sloppy towards the end of this half, man.
Spurs have gotten humbled by Wycombe. All of a sudden, it's been all Wycombe the last few minutes.
Not a good sign.
Good. That's a good touch from Romero. That probably would have gone in the back of the net had he not made any sort of touch there. Johan Lange was sending hard eye emojis to Marinakis earlier. You up, babe? That's what he's texting Marinakis. Oh, another maybe opportunity for Wycombe there.
Yeah. Who's marking that, man? Come on.
Flip to the back post from a corner kick there. They played it short, but then quickly got it back into the box, and no one there to deal with that. Wycombe player just didn't do too well with it. Brandon Austin. Plays it out wide to Ben Davis. Can Spurs find a second here before halftime? Richarlison, again, dropping deep to the left. Oh, does well to shake off a few Wycombe players. Finds Sonny. Sonny cutting inside. Finds a good space here.
Too long. Thank you.
Oh, I don't know how that went awry. Sonny did well. Richarlison did well, and it somehow ended out as a goal kick. Maybe Sonny just too much in front of Richarlison. It was hard to tell. What do you make of the tracksuit, Nick? I'm not really the biggest fan of this year's one.
Really?
It just looks like it looks like the design of it makes it look really big on everybody.
Yeah. That's that top Nike has been sticking with for a couple of years now. Like that's their signature, top of the line hoodie.
Oh, Odebear. He had space. He took it into the kind of to the edge of the penalty area on the right side and fired across towards, might have been Richarlison. Just again, wasn't able to get onto the end of it. Hard to tell whether it was a good cross, but it looked dangerous.
Yaboa Prince, time for the Luton match is 3 p.m. UK time. So I don't know where you're from, man, but it's going to be 10 a.m. where I am.
Pedro. Sir!
Yeah, that's, come on. You got to call that. No, what are you throwing your hands up for?
Also, no more nasty challenges on Pedro Porro, please. That one from the Reading player last game was probably one of the worst challenges I'd ever seen from someone in a preseason friendly. It was disgusting. El Dante, it's your birthday. Happy birthday to you, sir.
Big up, my man.
Feliz cumpleaños. Brandon Austin has not given you a birthday present, sadly. He's given one to Wycombe instead, El Dante, with the goal that they scored. Whipping it, dealt with by the Wycombe player. Sonny, nice cushion header to Richie.
Let's get it out, Rich.
A little heavy on the foot there from Richie. Back pass to Romero. Eric Val. Sonny playing the deepest here. Brendan Austin just waiting for everyone to get back into shape. Pedro Porro, big switch or big ball in behind. Not well directed, though, straight to the goalkeeper. 5 minutes left here. See if Spurs can grab a second. Not really been creating too many chances since, but maybe one here for Pop. Oh, just couldn't get the feet sorted. Good turnover there, but couldn't find anything. But yeah, since Wycombe have scored, Spurs have probably only created one little moment.
Yeah.
Good turnover here, though. George Abbott is able to find Bergval out wide to Odebear.
Back to Pedro Porro.
Pedro's got time. Maybe an opportunity to put the ball into the box. Richarlison keeps moving out wide, which is interesting.
Vuskovic with the long bomb. But
Nick, just make sure you get that ball for us because that's headed all the way to Brooklyn. That one. He's absolutely walloped.
Yeah.
Vuskovic took out the driver.
Yeah, Mike, Son hasn't been making himself felt too much. I mean, he's had a couple opportunities. Yeah, it seems to me like the remit has been kind of, for some of the backline, when they see the opportunity, send it long over to the left and try to open up some space for him. But, when that's happened, just not much has come from it. True patch, it was Papa Sarr for us, and I don't know who the fuck is on Wycombe, so I can't tell you.
Pedro here. Yeah. Finds Odebear. Yeah, King Hoddle, I think that's with Newcastle as a perspective, it's a good talking point for kind of preseason games. How do you really read into them? I think you do have to. I think, the days of the past where, it was kind of just about getting into shape. I don't think it's that simple anymore. I think it is, to a degree, relatively serious, and that you do have to try to, especially with a new manager, like it is opportunity to try to figure out the system. And also for Thomas Frank to get a good look at his players before there's any games of actual consequence. Yeah, but it is interesting that teams like Newcastle are getting walloped.
Are struggling. Yeah. I'd love to see Yang start in the next game. Is Isak playing? Anybody know?
I don't think he has been.
Yeah.
At least he didn't play versus Celtic. Odebear plays it down the line. Vuskovic is getting forward, doing his best Romero impression. But I do think that's a good talking point for halftime. King Hoddle about preseason games, because some teams, end up getting walloped and then probably do fine. But Spurs case, Odebear! From the first half, it's been all Odebear, really.
Yeah.
He's been the one. He's looked bright. He's looked positive. And then when Sonny's gotten the ball, he's received the ball in good areas, Sonny. Just hasn't been able to maybe find his player, whatever he's intending, hasn't been able to do it as much as Odebear has been. It's also just, if anything, the game has just been played more on this right side than it has been on the left. Vuskovic trying to find a pass. Good touch from Romero. And Davis plays it over the top. Good idea. Wycombe playing out here. Bergvall doing really well to turn it over.
There you go.
Sonny into
A little heavy on that.
Richarlison. Or seemed to go out for a goal kick. I'm not sure what happened there. You would think it would have gone out for a corner at least.
Yeah.
Did Sonny maybe overplay it? Let's see. Not really. Surely that took a
deflection. Right?
Yeah. I guess it didn't. I guess poor from Richarlison. Also, that's another thing. Sonny hasn't had the best of games, but you would also say maybe Richarlison as well hasn't really threatened as much as you would like, and that is halftime. Thank you, everybody, for being here with us again. Smash a like. Feel free to ask us anything about if you aren't able to watch it. We're happy to tell you anything that we've noticed or anything that we've been able to pick up on. But let's go to King Hoddle's talking point, Nick, if you have the time. I mean, the fact that preseason friendlies, you see teams like Newcastle getting walloped. Spurs are 1-1 right now with Wycombe. I would say it's been majority Spurs, and you'd probably say that we only have one goal. It's maybe, I don't know. I think we probably should have 2 or 3.
Yeah. The opportunities were there, man. The opportunities were there. People who should be doing a little bit better, Son and Rich in particular, just weren't. But the goal we conceded was clearly goalkeeper error. I mean, the shot maybe shouldn't have gotten off that, but it was a nothing shot. And I'm not going to blame the rest of the team really on that one. Preseason, Newcastle will probably come out firing. Yeah, although you got to imagine, man, it depends on the team and the situation. Every team and every situation is different, and they could be in turmoil right now in the dressing room because they don't know what's happening with Isaac. They keep trying to bring in players they don't want to come, and that could be screwing up the whole thing. Right now, I know I'm not knocked off of my feet by what's going on, but I'm at least seeing some cohesion in our team, and I'm seeing a lot of young players that know what they're doing, know what the plan is, and they're being effective with it, man. I'm looking forward to the next half, seeing what's up.
Yeah, just with preseason games, like I said, what you want to hope is to see the team at least look a lot better than these sides like Wycombe, who of course are just of an entirely lower level than us. And I'd say like Spurs have majority of this, if not pretty much the entirety of this game, have looked definitely, leaps and bounds much, much better. It's just when maybe we've had a couple of attacking opportunities here or there, not like we've necessarily made the most of it. It's been either like a heavy pass, heavy touch, sometimes a poor decision. And that's why I think we probably should be 2 goals up or 3 goals up. I think Odebear a few times has been able to find, a good cross or a good opportunity, in the penalty area for Richie or whoever else. And it just for some reason wasn't able to, end up with an actual shot on target towards the keeper. The keeper for Wycombe has only really had to make so many saves. I might as well check up on that and actually see what the stats look like, just to be sure. But I only think we've had probably only really a few shots on target, but I think there have been plenty of opportunities to get a shot on target where we've been in the right area. It's just not really manifested itself into an actual 4 shots on target. So, decently respectable.
Hey,
but
Jacko, I'll be right back. I'm going to do that thing.
No problem. 64% possession to Spurs, 36 to them. It feels like it's actually been more possession, to be honest, for Spurs. Maybe actually towards the end of that, first half, actually Wycombe started to actually get into our half, maybe a bit more. They had 1 or 2 chances to actually potentially get, a real, shot on goal or real, scary opportunity, but it was dealt with well for the most part by Spurs. The goal that we actually conceded, of course, is just an absolute howler clown moment, really, from Brandon Austin. I joked, before that with Brandon Austin, he'd done pretty well last season with the opportunities he was given in the actual games with real consequence. But in the preseason games, I do kind of remember a mistake or two from him and some various ones. I remember even that postseason friendly against Newcastle, he actually had, I think, a mistake or two. And I think against one of the maybe he was the K-League All-Star team or something like that. I remember he had maybe a howler or two against them as well. So it seems like maybe Brandon Austin, with whatever game time he's given, seems to reserve these mistakes for the for the preseason games, if you will. Not too much to read into there. It's not like we really, I think, care that much, with how Brandon Austin performs. At the end of the day, he is just taking up the role of being a club trained, homegrown player and being used as that club trained, homegrown pawn to an extent. Um, I would say maybe it's a bit frustrating to see Sonny not really look that different from, his first game against Reading. I don't think he's really looked that much better. If you're one of those that wants to read really deeply into it, maybe that's a cause for concern. I'm not sure where I'm at though on that. So let me know, everybody. What do you make of the fact that, again, Sonny hasn't really been that inspiring or really that great? Richarlison too. Like, Richarlison has had two opportunities, you could say, that he should have done better with. He had one where Odebear fired a really good cross into the box, and Richarlison just kind of flew. You saw a big white bleached head, going towards the ball, and just for some reason wasn't able to make contact with it. And then he had another opportunity here or there to just do better with, the chance, and just for some reason it just petered out for a goal kick or petered out for a corner or whatever. And yeah, Richarlison and Sonny have maybe been what some of the more disappointing players. Bergvall and Sarr have looked really good. I think they've turned over the ball really well in certain areas. When Spurs have pressed this Wycombe team, I think it's been Sarr and Bergvall have done really well to close things down and turn the ball over in some good areas. Odebear, probably the brightest player in this game. I don't think you really have much to say about the defense. Like, Romero and Vuskovic haven't had too much to deal with. There was, like I said, one or two moments maybe for Wycombe that were slightly nervy, but I think, again, that's kind of exaggerating. There was one where they fired across the penalty area, and then Romero, thankfully, got a foot onto it. Probably could have been a goal there for them if he didn't. But I don't know. You're probably being generous to Wycombe to say that they've had chances, this game, whereas Spurs definitely have. Um, but yeah, I think Spurs have looked by far and clear the better team. We played some nice stuff. There's been some tidy possession thus far this game. It's just, yeah, I think you would hope that you see something a bit better from Sonny and Richarlison, I think, especially in the second half, to see if they can actually put away maybe an opportunity here or there. Because again, they've gotten the ball into some good, they've received the ball and had the ball in some decent areas. They just haven't really been able to do much with it. I think I let the clock run there, so apologies. Just getting situated here because it looks like they're going for a quick start, and they have done. So we're back into it here, everybody. Feel free to sync up with us. And thank you again for being here with us this fine Saturday to watch, again, our second opportunity of Thomas Frank under Spurs.
Wait a minute, that was quick. What was that, like a 5-minute break?
Well, they got to get to Luton later.
Right. I forgot about that. This one wanted to say hi to you.
Can't. Let me see.
I couldn't find Lily, so I just had to go with Chirpy.
Penelope, how are we? Good to see you.
She's doing good.
My dad brought me 2 Chirpies by accident.
Haven't heard Chirpy's name in a long time. It's been too long. Oh, almost a goal there for Pop Montasar.
Daddy, did he hear?
Haven't heard Chirpy's name in a long time. Big Dave, I know, has a Chirpy. That's who Dave wants to be for Halloween. El Dante did a park run this morning. He did a park run on the birthday. Good for you, man. That shows real dedication. Usually on the birthday, plenty of people say, yeah, you know what, maybe not today. I've earned it. Fair play to you, man. How am I doing on it? I've gone full, absolute addict at this point, man. I'm getting a little too obsessed with it. If anything, it's showing that I'm becoming an old man, because that's some of the only things I talk about are Spurs and my running.
And you're running? Well, good for you, man. There's a hell of a lot worse things you could be addicted to.
Totally. Yeah. But, it's bad. I'm talking to my other, 28-year-old friend, and we're talking about like, yeah, man, like, I'm going for this pace today. It's just like, Jesus, it's like we should probably be talking about more interesting stuff. But to me, it is. I'm averaging at the minute around anywhere between 20 and like 30 miles a week at the minute. Al Dante, I'm really enjoying it though. Like, really am. I've gotten so into it that now I'm actually, instead of listening to music, I'm usually listening to podcasts when I'm running. That's how bad it's gotten.
Yeah.
That's when you reach real psycho mode, because you don't need the
Come on,
music
here
to
you go.
motivate you. Lovely play from Sonny Odebear. Oh, lovely
Yeah,
layoff.
all right.
Sonny playing Odebear into trouble there. Lovely stuff from Sonny, though. Really good first touch. How's it going for you, though, Al Dante, man? What are you getting back into it? Have you been doing it for a long time? It's kind of become a big habit of mine in like the last year and a half, I'd say. And to be fair, in Seattle, there's almost no excuse not to. It's gorgeous. Ben Davis.
And Davis. The cross to nobody.
It's good weather for it. You got a lot of trails and a lot of urban sort of trails that you can do it here, where it's, nice concrete paths, but, surrounded by forest and jungle. Ben Davis with a heavy pass to Sonny there is a good idea. Just overplayed it. That's kind of been the story of the first half there, if anybody's actually watching along on Spurs play here. But that's kind of an example of maybe what was going on in the first half, is just occasionally just some overhit passes that, if done correctly or if done well, would have ended up in a good opportunity or a good chance.
Did we make any changes? I mean, probably not, right?
I'm not seeing any, no.
Yeah.
You are seeing some of these youngsters, though, warming up now.
Okay.
Wycombe, no!
Oh, jeez.
Jeez, 2 goals down. That's their second chance of pretty much the game, if not their third chance of the game, and they've scored. Wycombe punched us in the mouth 2 times here.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate. Not good. 2 goals, 2-1. It's like it's almost since the first goal, really. Spurs have kind of just all of a sudden petered out to an extent and not taking advantage of some of the opportunities that they had in the first half.
No. And terrible.
That one,
defending.
Brandon Austin could not do much about.
No,
well played, actually, by
Where was our
Wycombe.
back line? Jesus.
It was kind of a very quick counterattack. They played it in behind, down Pedro Porro's side, and they did well to wait for an extra player there, their number 7, Quintera, and really good finish, but they laid it off. But the moment that it was laid off to Quintera, you just knew it was going in the back of the net. Spurs are going to have to... Ooh, good ball in behind by Bergvall. Can Sonny get there?
You got to get there, son.
Good touch.
Being held.
Skins him. Oh. Pedro. Oh, up the bar. Took a nasty deflection. The goalkeeper made an acrobatic save.
At least they got some fire in their boots, man. But, going 2-1 down.
Yeah. It's like they've had to wake up here.
Yeah.
That's a really overhit cross from Sonny. Yeah. But found Pedro. Again, it took a nasty deflection and went off the top of the bar. Pedro whips this one in to Sonny at the top of the area. Poor touch from Sonny. Gives it away there. Wycombe give it away as well. Romero doing a little too much.
You knew once they were close and he wasn't releasing the pass, that was going to end badly.
If anything, Romero kind of seemed to want, he seemed to enjoy the...
Yeah. He wanted the beef.
Also, maybe Romero taking out some frustration with... Jesus. Like I said before, Romero, Sergio Ramos, the Pepes of the world, all cut from the same cloth. There's no such thing as a preseason friendly for these guys. Nothing friendly about these preseason games. Maybe that's the way to put it for them. Bergvall. Nice little pass out wide to Sarr with the outside of the boot as well from Bergvall. Made a good run for Sonny. He decided not to use him. I think he should have. Again, Sonny not really. Again, if you want to read deeply into it, Sonny once again not really filling us with confidence. I think he really probably should have played Bergvall there because no one was tracking that run. Decided to cross it into Richarlison, but just gave it away. Get there, Richie. Oh,
Yeah, definitely Wycombe in the ascension here, man. That's not good. Not good. We got to get control of this game again.
you could argue that Spurs looked the most confident, and they got their goal, and then since then, Wycombe have grown in confidence.
Yeah.
Jeez, Brandon. Pedro Porro put under pressure there, gave it away, but Brandon Austin didn't help him with the ballooned pass into his chest. And Wycombe here with another crossing opportunity. Ben Davis lets it go, but Wycombe able to hold on to it and keep possession here in Spurs' half. Let's hope they don't punch us in the mouth a third time.
Yeah.
Shem Tan saying, Frank out. Q7, imagine the Wycombe wingers showing Spurs how to show end product. Listen, man, we were used to that last season as well. I remember, right? You know, Tamworth.
Yeah.
It was like I think it was the Zara employee, you know, was like, had more touches or more created chances than Brennan Johnson had, like, all game. So we're used to this, really. George Abbott here. Free kick given away by Wycombe. Must be honest, I like Hummel. I like the Hummel tracksuits. I don't mind the Wycombe one. Good ball there from Romero. Lays it off to Richarlison. Charlison.
Hold it down. What happened there? I didn't see what the reason to stop the play was.
I think maybe offsides or Richarlison maybe gave away a foul. Hard to tell there. But I agree, I'm not sure. Charlison puts the Wycombe goalkeeper under pressure.
Under a little bit of pressure.
Vuskovic tied up with the Wycombe striker. Referee lets him away with it. Seems to think that there was nothing wrong there from Vuskovic. Good defending then. Odebear. Nice stuff from Odebear. Very direct. Does well to hold it up. Then gives it away.
Pass.
Abbott, good recovery. Vuskovic, back to Abbott. Big Bergs, big switch of play from the Big Bergs. But not accurate enough to Sonny. Again, like, yeah, Spurs have just petered out, it feels like. You know, started off really strong, started off really sharp, and every passing minute have kind of just looked less and less impressive. Good. Oh, turnover here. Going to go to Richarlison. Somehow it just doesn't end up at Richie's feet, or it did, but the defender was able to get it off of him and clear it away. That was a good header from whoever that was in the back line. Romero, it was a really good header from Romero. Sonny maybe tried to lay it off to Richarlison. It was a good idea. Let's see what we can do with a corner here. We haven't really looked that great from the corners so far today. Oh my gosh, Pedro Porro going for his best Sonny impersonation with the Olympico, but I would say continuing the trend today of not looking that great from the corners. Pedro Porro, he's crossed every single one of them, so Pedro needs to do a lot better. Again, we haven't really looked. I can't even think of any dangerous efforts that we've created from them.
I'm going to ask this question, but I think it's probably a pointless to even ask it this way. But is there anybody in the chat that still wants to keep Richie? That doesn't think that we should sell him? I like him, but he's just not not good enough.
No, him and Sonny today have been frustrating.
$40 million plus. Man, that's a big ass, dude. Who's coming up with that?
Oh, Bergvall, bad giveaway there.
Man. I mean, what happened?
Oh no, Brandon, please, not again. I was just gonna say, if he's getting beat by that. Poor giveaway from Bergvall. He has that in his game. Sometimes just maybe a lapse of concentration. A block there from Buskovic, but corner here for Wycombe. Poor giveaway.
Well, Ugly Fish, whether he cares or not is not the question I'm asking. I'm asking the people in the chat what they think. You know, we know what Richie thinks. He said what he thinks. This is a question to other people.
Well, so just there are plenty of bad players that have been at Spurs that, of course, loved it here. But, you know, you would think that the manager also has a decision over whether he thinks that they should be staying or not. It's not always just the player's decision. And plenty of times players can be forced out unless they really want to make a... Oh, dealt with well by Vuskovic. The top of the area for the Wycombe player. Out for another corner, being put under pressure here. And Wycombe looking like the better team in the second half. Because the club can force out a player if they feel the need to. They can, you know, have him train with the under-21s. They can not give him any game time whatsoever. And if the player is content with that, then that usually then says a lot about their motivation.
Yeah.
So there are various ways to force a player out. It's not like the player can just handcuff themselves to the club.
You know, Limpy, I agree with you on that point, but I don't think that we need a solid backup at this point in time. We need somebody else who is going to get goals. We need somebody that's better than what we have at the moment. And I got no problem having 3 strikers. I think that's great. I just don't think the administration has the tolerance to pay for it. You know, I think it would be great if we had 3 recognized strikers.
I would have absolutely sold Richarlison if we were able to get in on that Liam Delap deal, because that really seemed like a good, just a moment here. Spurs, good breakaway here. Can they find... Can they find...
wrong decision, man. Wrong decision.
I feel like they had Odebear. Odebear looked like he was in behind, but they just couldn't find him. Ooh, Richie again there. It's just bouncing off him like a concrete wall. Well done by Romero. Really well done by Romero. Odebear. Odebear poked away from him. Even Richarlison there, though, the ball was bouncing towards him and it just ballooned off of him straight back to a Wycombe player. You would just think he's got to be sharper. But yeah, as I was saying, the Liam Delap deal was like, what, 30 million or something like that? It's just, that had like Spurs written all over it in terms of the price. And it seemed like an ideal situation. Seemed like an ideal situation for Spurs. You know, a guy to come in, homegrown, that could compete with Solanke, but also be younger than Solanke. Proven goal scorer from the last season. Similar to Solanke, though, you know, big man up front that can hold up the ball. But of course, when Chelsea come knocking, you know, I guess.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was as low as 30 million.
Yeah, it was a smacking deal, I think. Nice. To be fair, maybe he fancied himself to compete more with Nicholas Jackson than he did with Solanke. I don't know. But they also brought in Joao Pedro, and still, you know, I think they've done exceptional business there. So Spurs are 2-1 down, 61 minutes in, and Thomas Frank is looking to bring in some of these youngsters. I don't recognize one of them, but I do recognize Oliver Iro there, getting ready to come in. Pedro Porro, maybe come. No, he's going for water. But Odebear might be subbed off by the looks of
And
things.
Richie's off.
Odebear probably the best of the forward line. Today was bright for the most part. But I'm not too sure who this young chap is.
We gave away the free kick on that one. I didn't see personally. I looked like Wycombe guy tripped over Bergvall's foot, but wins the free kick regardless.
Rainman saying if we get any decent money offered for Richie, Basuma, Solomon, Sonny, Davis, I'd take it. I think probably a lot of people would feel similarly.
Well, we have to shift some of these people. Like it's not a question. Keeping them is not an option. So somebody's got to go.
He didn't have a good day today, I'll be perfectly honest. Vim Fuego saying Richie is a decent footballer, great in the air, and a real handful for defenders. The only downside is that he's made of straw. That's also fair. Yeah, he's the backup striker that's never available, says We Are Spurs TV, which is also a fair point. Tartan Spurs saying, I'd like to see some more of Olasesi. I'd like to see Olasesi come into the team. To be fair, he would probably have to come in for Bergvall or Potmat Sarr, who actually I think had pretty decent games. Oh, Brandon Austin, man.
Oh,
he is not.
Jesus.
Brandon Austin has not had a good day either.
No.
He got away with that one. And he's also not really looked too comfortable playing out from the back.
Selling is, we've never been great at selling. We had the one stint post the Bale, or at least under this administration. After Bale, it's always struggling to sell. We're always holding on to players too long. But I think that this is why things have slowed down in the market. We went for our two main ones, and then it was all about trying to weed out, who's not going to be effective and trying to get them off the books. And I think that's what it's going to be for the most part of this Asian tour, man, is we're not going to see much in the way of incomings. It's going to be trying to shift. That's why we're playing this match right now. So Frank can get a look and make his decisions real quick.
Yeah, I mean, exactly that. Tartan Spurs saying we need to let Frank assess who he wants around and who he doesn't. And these are great games for the coach to learn about his team. This is what preseason is for. 100%. Bergvall, been the story of the day today.
Yeah.
Just any opportunity to find like a nice threaded pass between the lines, and it's just always been overplayed or overhit. Sarr. Good turnover here from Sarr. Find Sarr. Come on! 2 goals!
Poppy!
Iro or Sarr? Whoever put it in the back of the net. Fair play to them.
Talk about grabbing the game, man.
Yeah, Sarr there.
Sarr's the only one playing today.
Seems to be frustrated with someone.
At something.
Sarr was the one turning it over here. Or Romero, sorry, helping turn it over. And then Sarr picked it up off of Romero's good work. It's actually really good play by Sarr. He somehow got it out from his feet.
Yeah, his own feet. Picked it up and was able to,
And I'm not sure. I need to figure out who's actually come into the game. I don't want to assume because I don't actually know him. So I'll maybe check Twitter to see who's actually subbed in.
And that was definitely a proper number 10's goal right there, man. The give and go, and then just, putting your full body into it.
See if I can check in on who's actually come into the team.
Yeah, I almost feel like singing my Sarr Boy song, but on a preseason friendly when we've been crap doesn't seem appropriate.
Yeah, I was going to assume it was Thompson.
Thompson.
But I didn't want to. Teenan or Tynan Thompson. And he did well to find Pop Matasar. He's putting in another cross. He's been positive. But yeah, great finish from Pop Matasar. And nice to save ourselves from some embarrassment here. And really well played from Christian Romero there. Christian Romero as well was the one to help turn it over for that goal. Really high up the pitch inside Wycombe's half. Pop Matasar leading the charge here. Looking to prove something to Frank. Pop Matasar has been one of the bright players. Oh, and commentators curse.
So
Not on the same wavelength as Sonny.
Hello, Asder. I'm confused, man. So are you hoping Spurs lose? You said you support both teams. So isn't a draw the best outcome on this one? I mean, where's your head at, buddy?
Thompson, nice little ball roll, taking on his man, looking positive. Love that from Thompson. Really well played.
Very nice.
And Abbott, oof. Yeah, both wingers. Who did Sonny come off for? Because I don't see Sonny anymore in the game. No, there he is in the game. That's actually damning, actually. Sonny's maybe moved to striker.
Right, because we didn't bring in an out-and-out striker.
Yeah. Top of the penalty area. Here is Sonny, though.
On, Sonny. Oh, yeah, shit. It was a little too telegraphed. At least he was on target.
Did well to get out of his feet, just not enough power on it.
Yeah, absolutely, because he had a lot of defense around him, too.
Son is playing as striker, exactly right, Limpy.
Yeah.
Oliver Iro is playing on the right, and then we have Teenan or Tynan Thompson playing on the left. Thompson's look good. It's look very bright.
Yeah, I mean, it's a difficult situation. I support another team too, but they're a J League team, so the likelihood of them ever matching up against Spurs is not very strong. But if they did, you'd Army all the way.
Well, that's where Kota Takai had come from, was Nick's J League team.
They're now our feeder club. And
Wycombe had a chance there, and their player did not do too well with it, actually. You could say he could have probably done a lot better with it. He could have easily gotten that on target, and you wonder if Brandon Austin would have let it go through him again. But luckily, he was spared. Davis down the line to Thompson. He's been very direct. Woo! See you later. Thompson! Oh, went for a belter. Probably just needed more curl on that. But Thompson, he's been direct. I like what I'm seeing from the kid. He's hungry. You can tell he's looking to prove something. He's been very similar to Odebear, just positive, looking to make something happen. No questions about, taking on his man. He's not looking to play sideways or anything like that. He's looking to make something happen.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, Brendan Johnson should be taking notes from this Thompson performance.
I mean, is that just the case really with these preseasons? I mean, I know I should really know by now at this stage of my life and watching football, but are you just going to get better displays out of the youth? And you're going to get more complacency out of your more senior players? I mean, is that what we should just be expecting?
I think yes and no. To be honest, I remember last preseason, the youngsters were the ones that stood out, right? And you could argue that Ange Postecoglou could have then done a better job of actually rewarding some of those youngsters, right? You didn't seem to. And Spurs did not start off I mean, we didn't really have any good periods, to be honest, except for maybe one little spell, last season, right? Maybe it was what was it? It was that a few games where we beat Man United, away from home, and there might have been a couple of wins under our belt, but you would say that the majority of the players that were the regular first team guys didn't have the best of preseasons, like James Madison, Brennan Johnson, like all of them were kind of pretty poor in the preseason. And then let's be honest, we didn't have that great of a season. So you could say for that reason, you could read into it a little bit, even though I would agree. I think the youngsters are far more hungry to prove something than the senior players are and the established first team players. But Lucas Bergvall, I remember, had an amazing preseason. He ended up, being one of the highlights of last season.
Yeah,
Jed Spence had an amazing preseason. I remember last preseason, and of course, also was maybe one of the highlights.
Yeah, the thing with Bergwall though was his preseason. He looked great, but he looked like a person that hadn't had the enthusiasm beaten out of him yet. And then when the regular season started, like he was constantly trying to go forward and progress the ball and not play backwards. And what we would have imagined that Ange ball was supposed to look like, it looked to me like that's what Bergvall was trying to do. But while he was making those moves, nobody around him was following him. Nobody was understanding what he was doing, and he would pass the ball, and then it would immediately go back into the horseshoe or back to the keeper. And it looked like then when he started, when the regular season started, that his enthusiasm got beaten out of him for a little bit, and it took until the middle of the season for him to pick his ass up again.
Yeah, I do think you can read into preseason, because even like when we played against Bayern Munich, and the fact that we had conceded in every single preseason game, we had conceded like 3 or 4, right, to the K-League All-Star team, was almost an omen, in my opinion, for that upcoming season, where we were conceding left and right, to everybody in the Premier League and just majority of teams that we played against, playing Ange Postecoglou's style. So just, as much as it is always training exercise and about getting in shape, I think there are plenty of times where you do have to read into it to some extent. Thompson has looked very bright. Someone had something to say on it, but this Thompson kid, you can see his intent as soon as he gets the ball. Get at my marker and try to deliver. Kid reminder, everyone, of what a winger's job is. That's what I was saying, man. He's, if anything, Brendan Johnson should be taking notes, because just the body language that Thompson has had when trying to take on his man, it's just so different to some of the other wingers, even Sonny to an extent, right? Sometimes Sonny hasn't really shown that intent to take on players. Hard to tell what's going on here, but Pedro Porro took a real knock earlier.
Yeah.
Wonder what's happening here. Pedro maybe frustrated. Maybe he got into a scuffle with someone.
The face or something like that. He must have caught an elbow or something like that. Is what it looks like.
It's also funny. He has like a fitness watch or something on. I didn't know you were allowed to play with that. Some sort of band.
Yeah. Yeah, Limpy Ben, I wouldn't hold your breath for us not going on long distance tours in the summer. Man, I think that's still going to happen. What the hell did we just do? Was there just a full squad change just now? What am I watching?
Now that it's 2-2, yeah, he's gone for it.
Holy crap. Now it's the entire youth team that's just taken.
Hey, I mean, if anything, that goal came from Thompson, Sarr.
Yeah, 100%.
Like Thompson was able to find Sarr with the cross. He has an assist already to his name.
Yeah, but what I was saying is, man, those tours, especially in other continents and other countries, a lot of people don't factor in that they're not just preseasons. They're really, marketing meetups for potential sponsors for the club. And they're meet and greets and they're schmooze fests, and they're about generating interest from brand deals. And that's really what they're about, man. And the club's going to try to milk that as much as they can.
That was Rain Man's theory for partially why maybe Sonny hasn't looked that great in preseason so far is that technically he is going to be one of the main players used in the preseason tour in Korea.
Yeah.
That's when he actually will look to try to maybe impress and look to try to be a bit better, which is not a bad theory. There's one of my favorite names, Yusuf Akramich. There's Luca Williams Barnett, man with the nice Barnett. Yeah, but you can tell the intent with some of these kids. They're looking to put the press on. They're looking to try to win the ball off of some of these Wycombe players, but can't do it there. Offside there from the Wycombe winger. I'm actually confident that maybe these kids will really push to actually get a winner. We have, in terms of the game now, let's see who's come in. Yusuf Akramich has come in. Luca Williams Barnett has come in. Callum Olasesi and Tyrese Hall have all joined. Maybe some others. We'll find out.
Yeah, it has to be. I saw like 7 players get off that.
Yeah, I think it's almost more than that. This looks like Tyrese Hall here.
Where's Frank going with Vuskovic?
Yeah, where's Frank going? Frank has left the building.
He's got to get in that Uber, get over to Luton real quick. I'm telling you.
That's a quick turnaround.
They just checked Waze and there's a freaking traffic on N5 or something. Okay, yeah, I would do that too, King Hoddle, man. I would wrap Vusk. You know, I mean, like, we need to see a bit more of him to see if he's ready to stay. But, you know, I definitely wouldn't be wearing him out.
Thompson to Olasesi. Lovely stuff. Ooh, I think that was Luca Williams Barnett trying a nice little first-time pass to Tyrese Hall. Oh, no, Ashcroft. Poor giveaway there. Can he recover? Does well to track back, but Wycombe here on the break. Ooh, tried to put the pressure on the center back there of Wycombe. Played out, couldn't be able to find the pass, but see if these youngsters can find us a winner. I have some confidence they might. I think Tyrese Hall is number 49. I think Casanova is the one on the ball here, the left-sided center back.
Mm-hmm.
Given away by Spurs Wycombe. Oh, good turnover from, I think, Luca Williams Barnett. Really nice.
Don't hold on to it too long.
This is Olasesi. Out wide to Tyrese Hall. Tyrese Hall cutting inside. Tries to find Barnett, who tries to turn on a pence there, sixpence, but couldn't find it.
No. Has there been any info on the lineup for the next match there, Jacko?
I'm not sure if he'll get it this early, but I'm curious.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I am very curious to see if Mikey Moore is in that lineup.
If he's not, then I think that would suggest he might go on loan.
Yeah.
Also, totally forgot, Patmat Sarr has scored both goals today. We only have had 2 goal scorers in our preseason so far. Luka Vuskovic and Patmat Sarr both competing for top goal scorer in the preseason. Who had that down as your preseason bets?
King, man, the standard of the J League is solid, and it gets better and better every year. But it's sure as hell ain't the Prem. But I think we all know that.
Oh, I totally forgot. Lancashire was the one who scored. It was Vuskovic who was the one who got the assist. He had an assist and a goal. The whole time I've been saying he scored both goals, but you're right, Fat Tony. It was Lancashire that scored. Forgive me. So Potmatch Sarr is the goal scoring leader.
Mm-hmm. For the season so far?
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say the J League can go head to head with the MLS. Probably the top 5 J League teams could probably match the top 5 MLS teams. That's where I would put the standard at right now. And I know that's going to impress very few people. But I think it's a great league. And it's very technical, and it is full of Brazilians.
If Kota Takai doesn't end up playing in the second game, what does that say? He might then go
I think that would be very weird right now. You know, I mean, he does, like I mentioned a while ago, he has had no time off at all. They've been playing straight through. They did the AFC Champions League right into restart of their season. So he may need a little bit of rest.
Thompson!
Oh,
snatches at it. Oh, it was a really good turnover. It was a really good turnover by Spurs. Really high pressure on Wycombe, and then they had numbers there. Thompson has looked very bright. Tyrese Hall, Olasesi, Thompson putting on the pressure. Just his last touch there kind of let him down, Thompson, and then he fired it across. Just couldn't get it on target. That was a good chance there to go 3 goals up. They had numbers as well. You could tell he's hungry, this Thompson kid. If he really had the composure, I wonder if anything he could have actually just pulled it back, and then he would have had, I think, 2 or 3 Spurs players just to lay it off to, because Spurs really did have the numbers there. It was a bad turnover by Wycombe. But yeah, Young Min Hook as well as Koto Takai, if they don't feature at all in the next game, you would definitely. I mean, I think Young Min Hook for certain is probably.
Yeah,
going
well, he
out
was
on loan.
there. He was lined up on the side with the rest of them, so one would imagine he's going to get some minutes. I did not see Takai though. So Takai has a minor undisclosed injury, says Limpy. Huh.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He's only just started training. Huh. Okay, well, that explains that right there. Thank you, my friend.
Tartan Spurs saying, I feel bad Ashley Phillips hasn't been given an opportunity, to be honest, just my opinion, but Ben Davis signing an extension has potentially blocked his pathway for this season anyway. Yeah, man, you know my thoughts on Ben Davis, but that was my feeling about giving him the extension for 2 reasons. First, he's on 80 grand a week, and he essentially just plays a backup role, which to me, it seems silly. Like, he's on more money than Bentancur. He's on more money than Kevin Danzo. You know, he's on more money than Dragishin at the likes of Ben Davis. And then you already have so many talented center backs with Vuskovic. Lovely turn from Tyrese Hall. Vuskovic. You have Ashley Phillips. You have Alfie Dorrington. Now you have Koto Takai as well. You have so many young, talented center backs coming through. Like, what is the point of keeping him, really? Because in a sense, he is blocking up that pathway. So, yeah, I agree with you, Tartan. Luca Williams, Barnett, Sarr! Looks like
Free kick. It was outside the box.
Area. Almost
Yeah.
penalty. Just outside the penalty area. Really good run from Luca. Again, he's supposed to be one of the most talented kids in the academy right now. But maybe the highlight from today has been this guy, Tynan Thompson. Looks like Akramich and Barnett are standing over the free kick on the right side here. Luca hits it into the wall. Maybe try to go underneath it, but hard to tell.
AZ Spurs, man. Vuskovic, I think, had a decent enough game. I think he let his man get away from him. I don't know where he was for that second goal, but he didn't. He really didn't shine that brightly in this match, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't get to see much of him.
Frank's decided to beat the traffic and head
Yeah,
to Luton.
definitely.
That's, I think, definitely what's happening there, Shem.
Yeah.
He's probably got this game on Spurs Play. Wonder if Levy gave him a promo code.
No way.
10% off. $5 off.
Yeah, Frank had to get a client number, a CRN, to be able to log into this one.
What's Frank's CRN? That's so funny.
Nice attempt. Yeah, keep him under pressure. Keep him under pressure.
Or maybe actually I've confused things. I think the striker is Ashcroft, and then the big, tall center back is the guy with the hyphenated last name. Speaking of anybody with hyphenated last names, what I find funny about that is that's become so common now because nobody wants to give up their last name, you know, and take their spouses or their partners.
Yeah,
but what I think is funny about it is you're only delaying the problem for your kids, because then your kids, when they marry someone, what happens
well, a
when
lot of it is
two hyphenated
no.
last name people meet, then they have to decide which hyphenated last name are we gonna pick. You can't do two hyphens in a last name.
A lot of it is, you know, split up marriages and all that kind of stuff. Listen, man, I spent the majority of my youth being known as Nicholas Wood Buttram.
Wow.
This is a little known fact for you there. Most of my youth was spent with a hyphenated last name.
Wow.
My stepdads and my biological fathers combined. And then I turned 18 and I was like, you know, no disrespect, Dad, but what the fuck am I doing? You know, why am I complicating my life?
Wood suits you better. Buttram is a very British name, if anything. It sounds British.
Scottish.
Yeah, Scottish, yeah.
Buttram!
Thompson here. I would change my name to Akramich at any point.
Anything with an itch.
Full time.
All right.
Well, I mean,
yes,
Spurs saved
yes,
themselves
that's what
from
I
some
got, Joe
embarrassment.
Zveris, but you hit the nail on the head. It took you about 30 seconds to figure that one out. That's how I spent my high school.
Spurs have saved themselves from some embarrassment. Ended up 2-2. Wycombe punched us in the mouth twice. Got an opportunity to see some youngsters towards the end there. Patma Sarr scoring both goals. The preseason Golden Boot winner so far. We have another game against Luton Town later on today to look forward to, probably with some other senior players. You would imagine that game will have more senior players on the bench. I think, you know, there were some positives to take from some performances. Odebear was probably the best player of the first half and maybe the best player of the of the first team that, you know, started the game. Patma Sarr as well. Bergvall both had very good games.
Mm-hmm.
But then maybe the players that were a little less impressive were Sonny and Richarlison. Richarlison maybe the main one, Nick. So your big takeaways from today?
Yeah, I mean, Odebear looks sharp, and that's fantastic to see because we need that on the wing. I really hope we get to see more. It's going to be a fight with him and Kudus, I guess. Brandon Austin, not impressive. And that first 30 minutes, we were looking like we were on top of it, and we wanted to go out and just put this game away. But then everything kind of just fell apart after they scored. So it's concerning. It's concerning about the motivation. Frank's got a lot of work to do to get this team to gel and not lose concentration. I know it's just we're trying to find things out and we're trying to see who works well with other people, but this is not an uncommon theme that Tottenham have had over the last few years, is losing focus after a little bit of a bad spell. So, I'm very curious to see what the next team does after sitting on the sidelines and watching this team out. If there's any more motivation or if there's a lack of motivation going into the next game, man. This is a very interesting doubleheader situation.
Yeah, and I mean, to be fair, there were some pretty important players that played this first game. You wonder how much they'll end up playing in this second match against Luton. But like Bergvall, Sarr again, had a very good performance, but he played a fair amount of minutes in this one. Sonny played a fair amount of minutes in this game. You wonder how much he'll actually play in the second one versus Luton. You have Pedro Porro, who played a fair amount of minutes in this game. So Romero, Vuskovic, we'll probably get a different center back pairing, you'd imagine, for the next game. But yeah, there will be some new players to look at for this next one. But I think probably one of the bigger takeaways is like what you mentioned there, which is Spurs started off very brightly and looked very confident, but then kind of once Wycombe Wanderers scored, they kind of just seemed to take their foot off the gas, Spurs, and kind of just sort of all of a sudden, leveled the playing field to some extent, where they made Wycombe look a lot better than maybe they actually are. They didn't seem to have, like you said, that motivation or that energy to really go out and score 3-4 past them. Whereas maybe the opening minutes, it looked like they were capable of scoring, plenty of goals this game. But as the game went on, Wycombe actually looked a lot better, to be fair. Was also just going to mention that, maybe Richarlison is one of the bigger concerns from this game, because I do feel like against a team like Wycombe, Richarlison should maybe look to
should be making the most of the chances that are in front of him.
And he didn't have any real hold-up play that you could note. Had chances presented to him that he didn't necessarily take.
Yeah,
wasn't really that clean on the ball when he did have the ball at his feet. He didn't really do any, this is how I'd put it. He didn't do anything well this game, Richarlison, which is a concerning one, because I'm trying to remember if I don't even think he played against Reading, right? So
no, he wasn't on the pitch.
This was his chance, to maybe give something for Thomas Frank to think about. But if anything, he gave him a lot of things to not think about, or to, probably be concerned about, if anything. But we have, of course, another game to dive into. And thank you, Nick, for joining me for this early morning sesh of Tottenham Hotspur.
I'm awake now. Thanks for watching. Man, we'll see you in a little bit, man. We're gonna hit it up again, man, and hopefully the end of the next match is a bit more exciting than the end of this last one.
Yeah. Well, everybody, we have another game that we're gonna get sucked into later. Thank you for all the support. Thanks for being here with us. Hopefully you enjoyed the commentary. Hopefully you were able to get at least some idea, if you weren't watching, of how the game went, and took some of our talking points. And I will see you all later for the Luton Town fixture. Appreciate you all. Have a good rest of your day, and we'll see you in about an hour's time, 2 hours time. So appreciate you all. See you very, very soon. Come on, you Spurs. Technically saved ourselves from the first defeat of the season, which will come at some point. But luckily not to
Frank's still undefeated.
Frank's still undefeated. Get him in. See you later, everybody.
Peace.